I suppose I've been trying to highlight the importance of soil humus for Australian agriculture and the health of the landscape for nearly 20 years now. And for me, it was actually the big challenges of climate change and securing Australia's water supplies. Going through droughts like we're going through right at the moment in the background of this filming. You know, we've just had record temperatures through autumn and we're in a really crippling drought at the moment. And it was those sort of droughts and climate change that said, you know, what's going on? Why is the water cycle breaking down? Why is the climate getting warmer? And what can we actually do about it? And for me, humus has got a lot of answers. You know, when we get the carbon out of the atmosphere, put it back in the soil, you know, we can get our rivers flowing again, we can start balancing the climate again and producing really nutritious food. The thing about humus and soil health is it's something that we've probably taken for granted for centuries, if not thousands of years, and we've missed the point that the water is stored in humus that keeps the rivers flowing and provides the nutrition that we need for preventing disease. It's something that's almost been too complex for science. It was really great when Laura approached me and said we'd like to work on that subject and try and bridge that divide between the city and the country.
I'm Laura Fisher. I'm one of the artists involved in this project. An artist, a farmer and a scientist walk into a bar. You might be wondering, why are we here and why is this collaboration taking place? The challenge is really to try to create a space for conversation about land which is away from the noise of politics and of activism, which is away from the context of universities where often our research agendas get very focused and very isolated. And I guess away from the risk and the debt and the kind of really significant challenges that farmers face transitioning from one kind of farming to another. And it's to try to create a space where we have time away from all those different constraints and challenges. And I think this is the spirit of our project, that art offers that kind of open space. It offers a place of experimentation and a little bit of, as the play so beautifully presented, wear the odd socks, don't panic, you know, try some things out and step outside of our familiar territory. One of the challenges for us as artists is that most of us are not the kind of artists to produce a painting for a gallery. So we're not producing the kind of art that perhaps a lot of people are familiar with. A lot of us are really committed to a kind of art where the journey is really important, and it's a social journey, and it's about a meeting of minds and unusual things happening when different kinds of people come together.
While I was out riding my stock horse, I came to a realisation that the Earth's climate and the water cycle were totally dependent on us. So I completed a Masters looking at how we could secure Australia's water supplies by respecting the relationship between soil, humus and water. When you talk to young people about humus, they say they've never heard of it.
Who knows what humus is as well? Have you guys heard of humus?
I was super excited about the project, kind of this opportunity to work with a farmer in country Australia, which is something that, well, I'm from the city, I grew up in Sydney, so it's pretty special to kind of be involved with somewhere out here. So I work a lot with interaction, sensing, how we actually connect with our environment. So that's why it was kind of a good fit, working with someone like Glenn, who's super connected to the environment and works in it every day. So how do we bring that back to the city?
We've spent some time now with Glenn on his farm. I personally find it really interesting that a lot of environmentalist discussion is focused on forests or focused on pristine environments, places like the Great Barrier Reef, when agricultural landscapes are actually as significant. Something that I think has been a realisation for us is just understanding that when you have a healthy landscape and you have humus in your soils, you actually have an immense water reservoir already there. And so you have a resilient piece of land when you do encounter droughts. And so for us, this wonderful process of thinking about materials and ways of illustrating or translating something as simple as that there's potentially a lake or an ocean of moisture in the soil if we do protect it.
Art has this incredible ability to inspire and engage people, so especially interactive art. If you could experience all of the science that's going on, you can get a better understanding of it, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring this knowledge to as many people as possible.
We've got to this point after
nearly 2 years of working with Glenn Morris and working with community members and doing some workshops, playing with materials and working with this idea of metaphor and translating what's going on in the soil, what's going on with the various cycles in the landscape. And this is what we've ended up with, the Humus house. We explored a lot of different materials and ideas to kind of explore this idea of what is the home that a microbe would want to occupy and how to create a human experience that communicates what we're dealing with at a microscopic level. So we selected natural materials, the loofah, lichen, and we've got other plant materials. And we went with this slatted structure as well because, you know, Glenn always talks about humus is porous, humus is permeable, but at the same time there is an architectural quality to soil.
So the 2-year collaborative process has been incredibly interesting and varied. After seeing Glenn's farm and talking with him and having these discussions with other farmers, it came back to water and the idea that humus retains 4 times its weight in moisture. And we're just so happy now that all of what Glenn's been talking about has driven us through these different material processes and metaphors of what's happening in the soil. We've finally gotten it to this sort of immersive installation, an artwork that people can walk through and experience.
We were here on Friday with this enormous dust storm and cyclonic winds, and we're just watching the sky turn red with the dust. And what that is the topsoil blowing off the land, and that's precisely what we've been addressing, is that if you don't have soil structure, if you don't have that gluey quality and you don't have a living root in the soil, it can't withstand those climatic changes. This is the horrible thing, that actually a lot of the environments we're seeing around here have completely lost their topsoil because that land's been overworked so much it's lost that interconnected structure that holds soil together. We're so used to thinking of water on farms in dams as sitting there on the top of the landscape, and people worry about their dams drying out, but actually the place that water should be is in the landscape. And that's the really profound I think fact. Water should be dispersed in the landscape, it should just sit there and be there to recharge the rivers and recharge the creeks, hydrating an ecosystem of life in the soil at all times. And then when you have changes in weather, it can just hold that health in the land.